Good morning. Wow, what a great crowd to kick off this. And thank you for joining us on our panel about fashion, her wardrobe, her power, the psychology of fashion, confidence, and success. Now, before I start, I just want to say that all of you out here are fashion people. So whether you believe so or not, you are. No, and I'll tell you why. Because I always believed that fashion was emotion. We all got up this morning and made a conscious decision to put on what we put on, because that's how we want to say how we feel, project to the world, and tell us who we are. And the idea that fashion is all around us is key. And we all know, who watched The Devil Wears Prada? Okay, awesome movie, but I will tell you that the key scene in there with Meryl Streep lecturing us about cerulean blue is actually, but it's actually it's really smart, because it really does show us the unseen impact of fashion around us on a daily basis. Now, who watched The Diplomat this season on Netflix? Amazing. And I will tell you, Allison Janney's character, and this came up on our call, that everybody was so excited about her one monologue that she gave to Kerry Russell's character, really talking about the power of soft power and being dressed to the nines and why that is actually important. I'm going to read you a quote. And she plays, if you don't watch this, you've got to watch it, but she plays VP Grace Penn, and she tells the Kerry Russell character, now, if you're representing the interests of 300 million Americans whose healthcare is failing, whose planet is burning, and whose future might get a little bit better or a little bit worse based on what you do in the course of a day, it's best to look like the care of your trousers wasn't more than you could manage. And I think that says so much in that one thing, and I think the showrunner and writer of that particular series said that she really wanted to reclaim that and wanted to own the idea that it's okay to look that way. And I will bring this back to real life because, of course, with our own VP, Kamala Harris, in the New York Times post-election, an article in the New York Times actually wrote that a study conducted more than 2 years ago revealed that voters have less tolerance for flyaway hair and a wrinkled collar in women candidates than men. Now, it makes no sense to sort of equate that sort of ideal of like how you look and what you are to what you can do, but here we are. So today we're gonna flip that narrative, and we're gonna talk about reclaiming everything, reclaiming the idea that it's okay to look good in your clothes and the choices that you make, and reclaiming the idea that you can be proud of all of this, because I really do believe fashion is key in that particular way. And of course, fashion isn't trivial, it's transformational, and that is part of our reclaiming today. So I want to kick it off with our amazing panel right away, and I'm going to start with Katie, who is our historian on the panel. Now, we were talking, and you said a lot about the idea that fashion really is about communication. Fashion is communicating to the world, to the people around us, what you want to say about us. What do you mean by that?
Well, I would even go farther and say fashion is a form of speech. I think when we talk about debates over dress codes, we're really talking about freedom of speech and who gets to have it. And fashion, of course, has been speaking to historians over the decades and over the centuries, but it also speaks to us in the moment. And I'm very excited to be on this panel with women who are creating those iconic fashion moments that historians are going to be studying in the future. Fashion speaks among us, it speaks to us. If you change your clothes, you can change your mood, you can change your posture, you can change your self-image, and yes, you can empower yourself. We tend to think of power dressing as a power suit with big shoulder pads and maybe a bold color and some menswear styling that's not too masculine, that it's threatening or confusing. But power dressing can take many forms, and I'm reminded of this when my friends with teenage daughters come to me and they say, what do I do, Kimberly? They want to dress in a way that's too sexy or too expensive. They want the $600 Golden Goose sneakers, or she wants to wear all black and pierce her eyebrows. Well, those are all historic forms of power dressing. And I think if you reframe that conversation as not, my daughter wants to dress like a stripper, but my daughter wants to look and feel powerful in a patriarchal society that does not always give agency to young women. That's a very different conversation, and one that can lead to some age-appropriate and school-appropriate solutions.
But can you think of someone in recent history, that a female figure that potentially played a pivotal role in sort of projecting leadership through what they wore?
Absolutely. I mean, I immediately think of the suffrage movement and how the use of the color white was so important to creating not just a visual spectacle and a sense of unity among supporters, but also a moral purity that we have called back to again and again since. If you look at Shirley Chisholm's 1972 presidential campaign, she wore a lot of white suits. Hillary Clinton, of course, in her white pantsuit, the DNC, and as a senator and presidential candidate, all the way up to Nancy Pelosi and AOC, wearing white and wearing it as a group to the State of the Union, for example. Female politicians have really re-embraced this as a show of power and unity that is even more relevant in the age of social media.
And speaking about world leaders, this is a big crux of your business, Nicole. You have a styling network called Lalaluxe, and within that you launched recently Quantum Style, where you merge your wellness practice into your work with world leaders, which I find that quite interesting. Can you explain a little bit about that sort of inside-out process of making someone over, and how that sort of happens with particular world leaders?
Absolutely, and by the way, this isn't just for world leaders. This is something that everybody can apply to their wardrobe and to the way they show up in the world, and that's what I do with world leaders. I've had my business for almost 20 years, styling people across industries. So not only heads of state and royal families, but Silicon Valley CEOs, people that are changing tech, people that are changing, working in philanthropy, just across the board. And what I do with them is an inside-out approach using spiritual psychology and aligning who they are, their internal values. And at this point, it's typically not about, their next role in work, but it's about their legacy and it's about what they want to give to the world. And we take those values and then we manifest them into form. And we create a look that really aligns their purpose with how they show up. And so when they're on stage, when it's a politician like Hillary Clinton in white, it's so powerful, not just because it's a color of unity, but because white vibrates at the highest frequency of any color. And if you think about it, everything is energy, including fashion.
And I think this is something that would be very sort of understandable, relatable, and applicable to everyone out here. How many times have we woke up in the morning, we gotta get our kids ready, we gotta pack their lunch, we gotta get dressed, and we gotta get ready for work and all of this stuff. You open your closet doors, and you have closet paralysis. What am I gonna wear? Nicole, what is the one thing everyone can sort of practice and sort of get over that hump of closet paralysis and be like, I gotta kickstart my day. I can't just stand here looking at everything, being like, what am I gonna put on?
Well, it's not starting in the morning. I would say it's putting intention. It's really connecting the dots. Think of fashion as your wellness and the intention you put into your workout and you put into your higher learning and you put into everything else, putting that into your closet. And it's actually a 3-step process. And I do this with my world leader clients, but I can also, all of you can take this home, and we're at a Power Women Summit. So what a beautiful place to manifest through your wardrobe what you're looking for next in your life. So the first step is really visualizing, getting quiet and visualizing who you are on a deeper embodied level, getting out of your head into your heart. You can do this in your closet or in your bathroom at home, and just really getting to the core of who you want to show up as, and not today, but who that future self version of you is. And maybe it's another job, or I've had a client manifesting love into their life. Whatever it is, you show up for that. And then that leads into step 2, which is going into your closet and editing out any past versions of yourself, editing out anything that doesn't energetically just make you want to shout with joy. When you put it on, you feel like the most incredible version of yourself. Not the jeans that haven't fit since before COVID and all the things that don't work anymore, but really coming into who are you and how do you want to show up, getting rid of everything else. And then the third step is taking that intention into your buying practices. And this is really a way, the last panel was just talking about the world burning. This is what happens when we overconsume. So when we purchase with intention, when we buy pieces that light us up, and that when we put them on, we come into this aligned version of ourselves, we are slowing down the process of fashion, and we're giving our wardrobe longevity. These are pieces that are gonna light you up today, and we're women, so this is like a cyclical process and an ever-evolving process, and we might be different tomorrow, but typically that piece is still gonna light you up for a long time.
But I like what you're saying about you have to put something on and you've got to feel that joy. And I think all of us know, the minute you put something on, you know right away if it makes you feel confident, if it makes you feel like you can just tackle the day and make it the best damn day ever. And I think that's really key. And I think no matter whether you're styling someone for the red carpet or you're styling somebody, or you're styling yourself for just a busy day, you want to be able to have that emotional connection to what you put on. Micaela, I want to ask you, you've styled some of the best celebrities in Hollywood. You have styled Meryl Streep for the red carpet, for the Emmys and the Oscars, and of course, Lupita Nyong'o, you took from a relatively newcomer and unknown to an icon on the red carpet, all the way to Kelly Clarkson on her daytime talk show. I would ask, how do you go about, what is your method in crafting those looks, and what is your thought process in crafting those looks for all of these different types of women?
Thank you. You know, I think a lot of people just assume being a stylist is picking out a pretty party dress. And I want to be clear that it is so much more than just that. This is really a delicate, thoughtful, strategic process, because I am responsible for shaping the public image and brand of talent into household names. And that comes with a lot of responsibility. So not only does this have to be an authentic representation of who they are, but this really also starts at its core with an idea of what is our end goal? Where do we want this to take this person? What is the objective or goal long term? Is it to make a best dress list, or is it to land an endorsement with a beauty brand or a fashion campaign? And so this is part of the sort of strategic brand positioning of talent that I take into my practice. So yes, while there are lots of pretty party dresses to pick out, it is really intentional and thoughtful. And so it's really about knowing your audience, right? And also understanding the through line and the storytelling between what it is you are wearing and what that communicates outwardly to whomever your audience is. Is it daytime TV? Is it middle America? Or is it, you know, a global red carpet like the Oscars or a Cannes Film Festival or the Met Gala? And so when I work backwards from that end goal, we're really getting at the meat of what styling is about. And then, of course, there's all the creativity and glamour and, you know, fun that comes along with it. But it's a really personal, individualized process. You know, Lupita was a perfect example. That was a year-long campaign that we worked on. Of course, she had a huge movie at the time, 12 Years a Slave, for which she was nominated, and we were on the campaign trail. But we used the red carpet as a way to really introduce her to the world. It was a platform. And, you know, the business of the red carpet and the business of styling, I think, is a really powerful tool, because you get to align the perception and the presentation of an individual for the purpose of really shaping their brand and their image.
And I want to say, I have styled many people in my career, but I give it my hats off to you, Micaela, to you, Katie. Celebrity styling really is it's such a nuanced craft.
Yes.
And it's so much about collaboration and input and being able to work together. It's a push-pull in a very, very delicate way with many, many people. But all your clients, from Meryl down to Kelly, how much of that is collaboration? How much is it them saying, Micaela, just tell me what to wear?
It's 100% collaboration. I think some clients might have already a developed sense of who they are and how they want to present themselves, and others might need a little bit more guidance. And so it certainly varies. But it's always collaborative, because also at the core of this, it has to be authentic. People can read through anything that is transactional or transparent and forced, you know, so it really has to feel like an extension of who they are. To your point earlier, you know, about this really being about, at its being, who are you and who do you want to show up as in the world? So some clients are, more open and receptive to my ideas, and others might need a little bit more coaching to get out of their comfort zone. But overall, it's very collaborative, and also, it's not just me. I am part of a team. There are publicists, there are managers, there are agents, there's hair, there's makeup, there's social media teams, there's photographers. This is part of a bigger team, and so collaboration across all team members is also really important.
And I will just also say that you guys are jostling for clothes with other stylists and other celebrities.
Don't get me started.
That is a whole thing, and then you have all these designers that won't dress certain celebrities for no apparent reason, just not interested, and then you're stuck in anyways. But to get into the wormhole of styling celebrities, and that's why I do lay my hats off to you. Before I get to Katie, I want to say, you trademarked a very fun phrase. We went through this on our prep call, and we're like, no, tell everybody here about the phrase that you trademarked, what it is and where it came from, because it's fascinating.
So, thank you. There's a very famous Edith Head quote. Edith Head, for those that don't know, was a very important costume designer back in the heyday of film and entertainment. And Edith coined the phrase, "You can have anything you want in life if you dress for it." And I decided to trademark it. But because I think what she had to say was really actually quite profound. For me, I think that this is more about the idea of perception and presentation and how that relates to values and also the way you present yourself publicly and the brand positioning that your wardrobe can have. And so for me, it was a much more nuanced quote than you might just read and think, and a very powerful sentiment. So I do believe you can have anything you want if you dress for it, whether it's showing up for a job or showing up to influence the world, or showing up on the red carpet.
And I think we said on our call, you were very key about you dress for the person you want to be.
Correct.
You dress for the things that you want. And I think that seems like an easy toss away phrase, but it really is true. If we really do open our closets and have paralysis, we can really just say, you know what, I want to dress for the person I want to be today.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think then it removes the pressure of feeling anything other than authentic.
Yeah, you show up how you want to be in the world and how you want people to perceive you.
100%. Now, Katie, I want to get to you.
Yes.
Katie is also a celebrity stylist here in Los Angeles. She has amazing clients like Connie Nielsen. How do you empower confidence in your clients when you're getting them ready for red carpet or a junket or just every day? How are you sort of guiding them to the right choices?
Of course. It's such an intimate experience to get dressed, to dress yourself, to show up in the world. And people think often, celebrities, they have a whole glam team, hair, makeup, styling, but they're under so much scrutiny. And so what I really love about the experience of styling is being in the room with someone and helping to lift their confidence. And I feel like my contribution obviously is styling and putting them in something that just allows them to do their job without thinking about it. I want to send clients out feeling like the best version of themselves, so that they don't have to think about it. They're not adjusting themselves. They're not wondering if something isn't fitting correctly. It's all about finding, to Micaela's point, what feels authentic to them, and then dressing them in a way that reflects that to the world. So again, they can go out and do their job and do what they need to do without a thought in mind. And I think that's something that we can all relate to. Again, going into your closet and finding something that speaks to you, speaks to how you want to present to the world. Because again, it's just such an intimate thing and such an extension of our personality. It should feel authentic and effortless.
Can you recall a specific transformative moment you may have had with a client where you're just putting something on, maybe it's completely out of their comfort zone, and they put it on, they're like, whoa, I never would have put that on, but thank you for making me, because now I feel like a different person.
It happens all the time, truthfully, and I think when you see, often as a stylist, you're making selects from a lookbook, from a runway, you've seen the look on a body, and when you have a look hanging on a rack in a fitting, it doesn't always translate, and so sometimes, I say, this look doesn't have rack appeal. You can't see it on the hanger, but it's trust me, put it on your body. And oftentimes, there is a moment where you're like, yes, I see it now. So you do kind of have to have confidence in what you're doing and a look that you might have in mind for a client and help them to see that vision. And, sometimes, especially when we're dressing for a big event, there's several fittings, and when you're with a new client, it takes a bit of time to kind of find that sweet spot of like what looks good on them, what they like, and getting the support of brands, right? So like it takes some time for that all to gel and come together. And I feel like there's often this aha moment where, you go through a fitting, maybe you don't find it. I feel like there's so much psychology involved in this, and like you can just tell when something is not sitting right with somebody, and they're kind of getting themselves around the idea of a look, and they're like, and you do a couple more fittings, and then you put on a garment, and it's just transformative. You can see it in their face, the way they hold themselves, and there's this aha moment of like, this is our look, and that's such a special moment to be a part of.
But I think that really comes from an element of trust, and I think for everyone
Yeah.
out here, I think that really works for celebrities on the red carpet with professional stylists, but I actually think that service is very accessible for almost everybody.
It is.
And I'm going to talk about my professor era for a minute, but I just started recently teaching a class that we launched at FITM on fashion styling. And I was trying to empower the students to say that this really does apply to everyone, that you can walk into any store and there is an amazing personal shopper or stylist that is on staff that can help guide you to things you may not have thought about. And that is why I think this is so transformative in a way where, like, yes, it's for Meryl, yes, it's for Connie, but it's also for everybody. And that you can walk in and really feel like you can own your confidence by making smart choices, and that there is someone there to help you. Because when you're doing it alone, it can be daunting, or it can just be confusing.
Yeah, and I think like not being afraid to try things on and keep trying. Like people don't get it on the first try often. Like you need to start to learn what works for you, and it's like our trend cycle is so fast. I think being able to like take what you want and leave the rest, and knowing what works for your body is something that just takes time.
100%. Now, Lauren, you're our only model and actress here on the panel. So, in a way, we're all talking about styling people. You're the person that gets styled. So,
I was just gonna say to her point, I think that's it is true. Like, I see myself one way. Obviously, being a model in entertainment, you're a chameleon, and that's part of your job. I wouldn't necessarily put on some heels and a sexy dress and walk outside, but I'll definitely do that for a photo shoot. But I have to feel it, right? Like, you have to embody whatever you're trying to portray. And I think that, going to her point, like, you gotta feel it, but you also have to like try certain ways, certain things that maybe make you feel like it is you. Maybe if it isn't, you just gotta sell it. You gotta own it. You know what I mean?
but as a model, when you're putting on something that you're getting dressed in, the clothes are the star in a way.
Yeah.
But when you're an actress and you're putting on that costume, it's got to transform. So you're the front focal point. How do those two different moments between acting and modeling change when you put on something to help you empower and become more of a Lauren or more of your character?
I think every shoot, I think that's the fun thing about modeling, is that you are whatever you show up to set and they have for you, whether it's wigs, whether it's dresses, to be completely honest, like, I don't know why this is, but everyone loves to put me in the most femme things possible. And clearly I am not very femme. I'm definitely a tomboy. So to your point, I have to get out of my comfort zone. I just shot something and I was wearing like a Louis Vuitton belt as a bra. These are just the improvisations that you have to kind of go and roll with the punches as they come.
But I also actually love that you are very sort of androgynous. I think you were saying tomboy, but I think the idea that you are you love men's clothes. And I think we were on a call and you're saying that like you actually call a lot of men's designers or ask for the men's clothing parts of design. And I was like, oh, I was fascinated by that. Do you perceive that love of men's clothes to be more of an armor in a way, or a little bit more about just being rooted in confidence, I can wear whatever I want to wear and not care?
Yeah, I just want to be me, man. Like, I think at the end of the day, as women, there's just this stereotypical idea of what a woman looks like, what she should be eating, what she should be doing, and she's wearing the wrong dress, she should have that hairstyle. It's like we're constantly fed these ideas, and I think we as women need to take our power back and just own ourselves and own who we are, and the world will see us for that.
And 100%. And I think you're such an admirable person because you've had an incredible journey of self-discovery as well. So how do you think your fashion choices, or even the things that you decided to put on, has helped you to be more emboldened and empowered in your own confidence?
Well, like so what she said, I had paralysis this morning, like looking at my closet, being like, what in the heck am I gonna wear? And I had to pack, and I was just freaking out. So that's me always. I literally made this in like 5 seconds. So, I also just go with how I feel. I think someone said that as well. It's like when you wake up in the morning, I think I just go on what the vibe is and what I feel like the day is gonna be. I'm like Houdini, sometimes I don't wanna show my legs, so I wear pants, and you'd never know I didn't have legs, and then I'm like, yeah, here I am, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but yeah, I love it. I think fashion is so fun, it's so unique. I think it just gives people their own identity and whoever that is. And it allows people to embody that and showcase that on their own runway every single day. And I think that's the beauty of entertainment and fashion, and being able to improvise and show the world who you are, because we don't know, but we can see you, and from what you're wearing, we can see you like nice things, or you like vintage, or you're a little tomboy, or you're a girly girl. I think there's just so many different ways you can play it.
And every day is a runway. I want to go down the panel and ask all of you sort of really, what is sort of the one piece of takeaway that everyone in this audience can really, absorb, to take back and reclaim as we talk about their confidence in wanting to look good, in owning their clothing choices, in feeling empowered by whatever it is that they put on and standing behind it, or just maybe the incredible one item that they need to own in their closet. Nicole, I'm going to start with you.
Well, Lauren just spoke about armor, and Joan Didion said that when she was writing, she would put on her armor and put on a coat to slip into the role that she needed to play. And she also said that with other people lifting up the rocks, under that armor, you'll see their snakes and you'll see their gold. And she was, working in a time where she had to armor up to go out into the world. And we don't have to do that anymore. And that's the beauty of the time we're in now. So we can be vulnerable, and we can dress in a way that suits who we are, and not have to show up in a man's world looking like a man unless you want to. And so it's a really fun time to dive in and discover who you are, and then dress for her. And for one piece I have in my closet, it's different for everybody. There isn't a capsule wardrobe. I've never believed in it. I'm never going to be the person that's like, you need a black jacket and this pair of pants and these shoes. Fuck it. Okay? What you need is one piece that lights you up, and when you look in the mirror, you are like her.
100%, and not being a slave to trends. That is so spot on. Micaela, some takeaway and maybe the thing that everyone should have.
Yeah, I think, a different way to approach getting dressed every day is just think about who you want to show up in the world as. And that could be different on Monday than it is from Tuesday or Saturday or Sunday, and that's okay. So, who you are gets to evolve just as you do when you get dressed. And so I think there is so much power in showing up in the world as you present yourself. And for favorite piece, I think it would have to be a white button-down. I'm wearing one today. I'll wear this with a tuxedo. I'll wear this with a ball skirt. I'll wear this with blue jeans. This gets me everywhere. So I think it's a core staple.
Perfect. Katie. Kimberly. Oh, gosh. Katie down there, Kimberly here. Yes.
Well, I think a lot of people come to a panel like this and think, oh, fashion is so judgmental, and this is, kind of mean girls telling you how to look and how to dress. I want to encourage you to consider that we are all judging each other by appearances all the time and being judged all the time. That is not mean or, bad. It is human. That is an evolutionary defense mechanism that we all share. And it's not necessarily a bad way to make conclusions about somebody. We are all presenting a person to the world, whether we are aware of it or not. So just be aware of that, and be aware that this is what makes us human. This isn't what makes us glamorous or mean or anything like that. This is something that we are all, as you said,
Individual.
we are all fashion experts because we all get dressed every day.
Thank you, Kimberly. Lauren.
Yeah, I think taking out from my own personal experience, having to reinvent myself. I think, losing my legs and having to really dig deep and find out what life is really about. I think it's not really about what we wear and all this hoopla. It's really about your heart, and you wear the clothes. The clothes don't wear you, And I think just remembering that, love yourself, take care of yourself, invest in yourself first and foremost. And yeah, if you want to, wear some sweats one day and, run 5 miles, do it. If you just want to sit on the couch, do it. I think your body tells you what you want to do, but I think just at the end of the day, loving yourself unconditionally and being who you are and owning that every single day when you leave that house is so powerful.
Agree, 100%. And Katie.
I mean, hard to follow that up, but yeah, that's it. No. I think really finding the joy in fashion and getting dressed and presenting yourself, and it can be an intimidating space, but finding what works for you and taking that individualistic approach to it. I think we see, again, so much repetition, especially through social media. It's the capsule collection, what to wear this season. And it's I think that can really get in our, make its way into our heads, and taking that out of it and finding what feels personal to you. I think people with great individual style, just even individual style that don't look like everybody else, that is what's powerful. And you should dress to light yourself up and find the core of who you are and dress for your body and leave the rest. So it's find the joy and know who you're dressing for, which is hopefully yourself. Again, in fittings with clients, there's often times where they're I'm going to send this to my husband or my kids or my publicist or whomever, and of course it's a collective effort, but it's it really needs to light you up. And so that individual approach to fashion, I think, is so important.
And I'm so happy that we are done with trends in a way where you have to feel, a slave to it.
Yeah.
And when I started in fashion in the early 90s, it was so much about what is it? And everyone felt like they had to wedge themselves into something. And now today you can sort of be I don't need to wear high-waisted, wide-legged jeans because they're not for me.
Or low-rise.
And I can wear, or low-rise, and I can wear skinny jeans still. And I think I love the idea that you can wear what's right for you. And as you all said, it makes you light up. It makes you project who you want to be to the world. So I want to thank you to my panel, and just for all of you to understand that fashion really is more than fabric. It really is a tool for empowerment and confidence, and that by caring about what you wear, you get to actually take back the power to be you. So thank you.
Thank you.